And we can, for the recording, introduce ourselves. And Brian, do you want to start?
Sure. Brian Plant, Bristol resident, committee member, live at Firehouse.
Great. And Darla?
Darla Senecal, community member and friend of all of you.
Yeah. And I'm Krista Seringo. I'm a committee member. And Jim, would you like to introduce yourself?
Jim Quaglino, town resident.
And Porter.
Hi, Porter Knight. I'm a resident.
Great. And we have no other attendees right now. We need a note taker and facilitator for our next meeting. Darla or Brian, are either of you ever able to do that?
I'm swamped with school right now, but I didn't know if they're like take this one, I could take the next one.
I can do that. So I'll be a note taker for this one and facilitate the next one.
Yes, please.
Correct. Okay.
Amazing. Thank you both.
Sure. Does anyone mind if I use AI to help me with notes?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
So do you invite your AI friend to the meeting? Is that how yours works?
Well, I would, except it's telling me I need to ask the host. Oh, no, hold on. So you've got your AI companion on. I got it.
Oh, we do. Is it automatically on? Let's see.
Maybe they do that now.
If that's, let me see.
If
That's the case, I can just send it to you, Darla. Meeting summary.
Okay.
It looks like we can, who will receive the summary? I'm gonna say all meeting invitees.
Sure.
In our organization, what that means. It's not letting me really change that.
I think you can do the top one.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I can take I'll just take regular notes. I'll just try to be on point.
Okay.
I'll do my best.
Yeah, well, you got this, Darla.
I got it.
Okay. Okay. And then the next item is to approve the meeting notes from February. So Brian and I were both here and I took notes. Brian, do you have any feedback about them?
No changes.
Okay. Great. So we don't usually make a motion to approve them as a formal minutes, I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Okay, so public comment. So I'd love Jim to join us because he started to share a few thoughts when I first got here, but I asked him to hold so that you all could hear them. So go ahead.
Okay, first thing is where the federal situation is. If the town was to apply for a federal grant and they could possibly refuse that because of this committee. So I was suggesting to Krista earlier, it might behoove you guys to change it to the welcoming committee. Still do your welcoming and inclusion of people. Hand out your welcome to Bristol kits, which is a good idea. I would stay away from the political end of it. I'll bring up something else as you go further in the, but I would like to meet with you, Porter, when we get a chance. Okay? Yo, Porter.
Oh,
I said I'd like to meet with you when you get a chance, all right?
okay. On this or something else?
On the whole situation.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
So I know when we have school board meetings, we don't go back and forth during public comment, but I feel like we should. I'm not sure folks feel that way in this setting. So what do people think about Jim's comment, or is this something we want to put into new business to talk about? Because it is a valid concern, or it's a concern that I think folks have.
I'm fine with discussing it, or I mean, whatever to make it official. If we got to put it in the agenda, that's fine by me.
Yeah, I'd like to have some input from the select board, I think, before we made a decision. I think it's a good, I understand where you're coming from, Jim, and I support it, but I'd like to have some input from the select board as well.
Well, I know a few of them are discussing it.
So I wonder if because we have a few items of old business, and then we do have a new business. Oh, I think I wrote new business twice. But anyway, we can talk about this right now for a little bit if we'd like, or we can move this to new business. As far as talking about it right now, I'd love to know if people want to share thoughts now and or make a plan for how to talk about this with the select board. So I guess my first question is, and this relates maybe to our next item on the agenda, which is adding items to the agenda. So how about we'll start with, should we add this to our agenda under new business?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great. And then you had another thing.
Are you on the new business?
We're still under public comment.
Well, I was gonna go on to the new business end of it about the red cards.
Okay, do you want to make your comment about that
Wanna do
now, or
that
do you want to
now?
wait till we get the,
I can do it
okay, go ahead.
now. You have this information about using red cards.
Yeah,
Again, it's becoming political, and this is a situation where this particular organization is now advising illegals, as, or whatever you wanna call them, what to do if they're confronted by ICE, which I don't think is under this purview of this committee. Okay, again, it's political and we should not be involved. None of our committees and boards in town are political. And this is absolutely political, and it's also
No.
telling.
I
them
actually
not-
disagree, Jim. Well, I'll wait till you're done, but I.
hang
but
on
I
one second, yeah, so we'll let Jim speak.
Yep, yep.
Because, and then we can hear what he has to say, and then we can decide
Sure.
how we want to incorporate that into our conversation.
And we are not a sanctuary city, which this organization sort of alludes to. And we don't want to get ourselves involved in something like that. Okay, that's all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Jim's brought up 2 points. And I think we can, what I'd like to do is first ask the group if they would like to add that second point to our agenda under new business.
Sure.
Okay, all right, and then I want to pause because it looks like we have someone who's just joining us. Rachel, hi Rachel, nice to see you.
Hello.
Rachel, are you one of the folks that reached out to me by email? About joining the
No,
committee?
I did not. So my name is Rachel Sellers. I'm on the DEIB committee in Heinsberg.
Yeah,
So we're sort of the same mind. And
Gotcha.
we had our meeting yesterday, and Tabitha was there to just sort of give us some feedback about some questions that we had. And she suggested, oh, she goes, guys should reach out to Bristol because some of the questions that we were kind of mulling over or whatnot. And I was curious, I watched the video from your last meeting, and I was
Yeah.
very intrigued by the survey. So I was like, oh, I wanted to find out a little bit more about this, and was kind of hoping to perhaps just discuss some things, or maybe we can sort of connect with each other as 2 groups at some point down the line when that works.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for coming. Maybe we can just reintroduce ourselves again real quick, and then if you're cool to hang out for a bit, we don't have a super heavy agenda, so we're gonna be reviewing some of the survey information that we have right now, and so we'd love for you to join us for that. And so I'm Krista Seringo, and I'm one of the members of the committee. And we don't have a chair, so I'm just taking on the facilitator role today. And Brian, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Brian Plant, committee member, live here in Bristol. Yeah, that's about it.
And Darla?
So Darla Senical, Bristol resident and committee member. And I live over on Munsell Avenue.
And Porter, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Porter Knight. I'm a community member.
And Jim?
Jim Guadagnino, community member.
So Rachel, gosh, has it been about 1.5 years that we started this committee, or half a year? The time is like a little bit amorphous in
I
my
think I
brain. We're
joined
pretty
in at the end
new.
of last June, so. I mean,
Okay,
There's talk about it much before that, and Porter's
Okay.
he really kind of spearheaded a lot of this.
okay, yeah, would it be okay with the committee if Porter gave like a 5-second not 5 second, but a quick overview of like how we came to be?
I so
You
move
guys
that,
okay with
you know,
that?
we allow Porter to,
Awesome. And Rachel, would that be helpful to hear a little bit of our origin story and how we came to be?
I'm sure I don't want to sort of intervene in your agenda. I just sort of wanted to pop on and say hi. Similar to yours, our committee, we don't have anybody that's completely in charge, so we sort of divvy up things every
Yep.
meeting. One of our members doesn't like to be a facilitator, so she takes minutes every time when she's there, and when she's not, one of us will sort of take minutes. And then we sort of rotate facilitation roles as well. I think we're only a little bit older than you guys in terms of started. So I think it's like maybe 2 years. I sort of joined the committee a little over a year ago. So we're still pretty fresh and new as well. But would love to hear a little bit more about you if you feel like sharing.
Sure.
Rachel, I'm
Porter?
sorry, just for the notes, can you tell me the name of your committee again, please?
Sure, it's DEIB, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee.
B, okay, B, like in boy. Gotcha.
That's the only additional one that we added.
Gotcha.
And it was originally part of a racial equity group that sort of had initially started, and then they sort of branched off to become a official committee within the town of Heinsberg, and then have just sort of been building from there. So a lot of the original members are from the Heinsberg Racial Equity Group.
Thank you.
Porter, do you mind just sharing a little bit about how we got started?
Yeah, so several years ago now, I think almost 3 years ago, I wrote a grant to the Vermont Community Foundation for the Equitable Inclusive Communities Grant, $10,000 for the town to allow the select board to see what they might be able to do to invest in the Declaration of Inclusion that they had written 2 years prior. And so that grant allowed the select board or the town administrator to provide some training opportunities for town employees and to support the town administrator in reviewing job descriptions for inclusive language and take a look at our town report and our town website, again, to make recommendations for inclusive language and create an equity tool for decision making. And make recommendations for next steps. Along the way, the Community Foundation asked the town, invited the town to apply again. So I applied again for another $10,000 to help put into place the recommendations that came out of the first round. And top of that list was to create an equity committee. It took about a year longer to have that happen than we had hoped, just because of other things that were going on at the town employee level, and it wasn't, the select board just had their hands full with other stuff. So this committee got appointed last summer, so we're in our second extension of that second year grant. But the money's sitting at the town, and this committee can use that money in a variety of ways to support the goals from that first grant round, or they could choose to use it differently. There was also some money in there to support the town staff again, but now we're without a town administrator at all, so that's not happening right now. And this committee
We lost
decided,
our town planner.
what's that?
We lost our town planner. Everyone's
Yeah.
somebody.
I mean, municipal staff, it happens. Anyway, so this committee decided their first goal was to reach out to the town and try to get more information about what the town felt was important, and that's kind of where they are right now. And yeah, so that's sort of how this group came to be. And Rachel, if you're interested, I'm happy to send you our previous grants and reports, if that would be valuable to Heinsberg. But that's that.
Actually, that would be helpful. We were curious about the previous grant that you had applied for, because we also so on our committee, Joy, she's the assistant town manager of Heinsberg, and so she was the one who initiated all of that and was able to get a grant for our committee as well. And we've been utilizing that with mostly I think for services with Tabitha Moore, who's awesome. I know, by the way. And I think she sort of suggested that we reach out, coordinate, because one of the things that our town started to do with our committee was we were looking at systems of support and accountability within the town and how we could support the employees of the town and the staff in the town. And then the next phase would be to branch out and reach out to the community. And that's something that we've kind of been struggling with and have had questions. And it seems like you guys have really gotten a good hold on that. And so we're just kind of well, you may be, so I watched the video from the last one and I was like, that survey sounds amazing. And I was like, I wish we could have gone in on that.
We got lucky.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was kind of wondering too if we could reach out to them if they would be able to share just anything that came from Heinsberg too, just to kind of guide us, kind of like what they did with you guys, and just extrapolate anybody that answered from Bristol or in that surrounding area.
Yeah.
So, but I'm very curious. That's why I'm.
Well, that's a good segue to our next agenda item, but I think, you know, it's always good to connect with other folks doing similar work in similar or somewhat similar communities. And so besides just talking through the survey piece, you know, we're happy to be a touch point and, you know, build a connection that maybe we can both help each other out figuring out how to do this work. So
I put my email in the chat.
Thank you so much.
So, so the CVOEO survey, our involvement in that came about through a connection at Middlebury College. One of our select board members works at the college and has done different projects with the town and knows of this faculty member specifically working in statistics on the CVOEO project. And so she had talked with us about ways we could mobilize more community input through the Middlebury College students and through maybe some projects they were interested in or already working on. And so this faculty member, Alex, has a small group of students that are specifically working on the CVOEO survey in different parts of that big survey. But he asked and got permission to add a few questions specific to Bristol that when folks, you know, indicate that they're Bristol residents, they'll be prompted to answer just those, or to answer in addition to the other parts, those 4 questions. And they're going to, you know, pull out that data for us, which is awesome because I think they have a really great response rate. They did also say their biggest response rate comes from Chittenden County. So that's good to know. And I don't know what others think, but it might make sense to just, for me to see if I could share Alex's info with you, like check in with Alex and see what he thinks, if he might pose that question of whether your committee might be able to get the data from Heinsberg. And I don't know how beyond that, how that would work. I don't want to know what other committee members think, but maybe putting you in touch with him is the first step.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Just to get some contacts that we could just communicate and just share our thoughts about what we're sort of looking for as well.
Yeah.
I think what I gathered from his Alex.
Yeah.
What Alex was saying, I love that there's just such there's just such this demand to get out and make sure every single person can try to like answer these questions.
Yeah.
And all the different, like the 12-point steps they use to get, you know, all those people and everything. I was like, that's wonderful.
Yep. Yep. It sounds like they have a pretty good outreach machine over at CVOEO, which is impressive because like you, we struggled with trying to figure out how to do that well. So Alex didn't have a whole lot of data to share with us today, so it didn't really make sense to have him come until he had more. So I'm just wondering, I had proposed, I think, in an email to folks, if they wanted to just talk instead about, he had some information about how they, language they use in getting the word out about their survey. And so I wondered if we wanted to, each, agree to do a push on Front Porch Forum of our own for the survey, specifically for Bristol residents, or any other thoughts people had about helping to get it out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it as long as there's, it's pretty. I'm trying to remember. Show me what you want me to cut and paste and put so that I don't, stick my foot in my mouth. I can do it. I've fumbled through it before. I can fumble through it again. I don't post much.
Yeah, I think we got from Stephanie at CVOEO, Front Porch Forum blurb, and some email language, and even a QR code. So maybe if we all agreed. I'm trying to remember when the run for the survey is, like when the deadline is.
Are we in week 2 of it? Already started.
It sounded like they started a little later than he thought, so it might go a little later, but I think you have at least 2 more weeks. You could
Okay.
double check with him, but at least 2, maybe 3.
Okay. What if, we can get 2, Front Porch Forum blurb, 2 out this weekend next, or no, this weekend, what is it today? Today's Wednesday. Well, anyway, maybe 4 pushes if we have 2 weeks to go. How did you do this with town meeting, Porter? Did you just say, anybody who wants to, you didn't really worry about timing or anything like that?
We actually had a spreadsheet.
You did,
and-
of course you
I
did.
mean, But I think that if you have 4, if you're seeking 4 things and there's 3 of you on the call right now, then you could pretty well figure out, and just be like, you do one this week, you do one early next week, late next week, next following week after that or whatever. Just you guys can figure it out. You don't need a spreadsheet if you're gonna do it 4 times and there's 3 of you.
Yeah. And that doesn't feel like too much in a 2-week period was my question. Yeah. Especially when it's coming from different people.
Exactly. Slightly
Yeah.
different tone from
Yeah.
different people. It's all good.
Okay.
People can skip it or ignore it if they want.
Okay. So can anyone do this first week?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just found my email. So you don't want me to directly cut and paste? You want me to reword it a little bit, or?
I mean, I
next-
guess
And then the next
adding in
question I have
something
is-
specific to, that we're seeking some specific information from Bristol residents. So we're really encouraging Bristol folks to make sure they fill this out. Something like that.
And is there anything special procedure? I've never played much with QR codes. Should I be able to just cut and paste, or?
Just do the Front Porch Forum blurb.
Okay.
Does that have
Yeah,
the
because that
QR on
doesn't
it?
have a QR code in it.
It
That
looks like
just
the
is-
QR code was a separate attachment.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I don't think you need to even worry about that.
I
Yeah.
don't think so. Just do the blurb,
A QR code would be more if you were making copies and leaving them somewhere.
No.
which we can also talk about. But yeah, I think just put your own spin on the blurb.
Okay.
Say why you think it's important. Personally.
Let's say it's apparently survey season, because I know my last meeting with CSAC, they're looking to do a big survey on
Yeah.
mental health and whatnot. And
Yeah, I would just, the only thing I would do is say, instead of like help CVO shape the future of our communities, I would say the Bristol Equity Committee is looking for your input.
Yeah.
Or, we want to hear what Bristol people think. We want to know what Bristol people, so just change it so it's specific to us.
Bristol.
And then you can still point the questions at the CVOEO. Or you can have the questions come to you and,
Or
forward
you
them.
mean any questions people have about the
Yeah,
survey? Oh,
exactly.
gotcha. Yeah,
Because she's put her email.
her
on.
email in it, right? Yep.
But that's all I would say. Just make sure, like, don't say CVOE wants to know, say we want to know, because we do.
Okay, so Brian, you're gonna do,
I should put my own email in there, or do we have
Well,
a,
when you post on Front Porch Forum, it'll ask you, allow people to email you or not. So that's a box you check. So if you don't check that box, just make sure that you have either your email or whoever this Davidson is in the thing. But if you check the box that they can email you, then you don't have to put your email in. Then if they have questions and they click email author, it'll just go to you. And you can forward it to S. Davidson, or you can answer it yourself, whatever feels right.
so you're gonna do that in the next couple of days, Brian?
I will try to get that by tomorrow.
Okay.
I may, depending what time I can get in tomorrow, I may not show up until Fridays.
That's right. I just wanted to time when I would send something out. So I'm not, no pressure, Brian.
Oh, no worries. I got a window of opportunity time tomorrow. I'm like, okay, I can jump on that.
No problem. So I'll look to see when yours goes out and then I'll give it a day or two and send something out.
And then I'll do the same.
Okay.
And then if someone wants to do it one more time after that, awesome. Okay. What else do we need to talk about with that survey? I guess that's it on that. We also have the town meeting survey that we have the results of the ones that were out at town meeting, but we also have lots of blank surveys. So if
Right,
folks
I have
thoughts-
those here. Sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't bring them to you tonight. Do you want me
That's okay.
to, what do you want to do with those? Do you want me to give them to Alex?
Yeah.
Do you guys want them?
Oh, the completed ones.
There's like, I think I said 40 or so. And then
Yeah,
a stack of blank ones. So if you wanted to make, you talked last time about making a box and putting some blank ones at the town office with a survey box, people can shove it in, and some at the library.
Mhm.
Remember where we ended up with that, who was gonna make boxes, but I'm happy to give them to whomever wants to do that.
oh, I remember the box conversation. I feel like Trevor said something about that, but he's away. It seems like we should wait on sending anything to Alex until we have
Okay.
everything that we're gonna collect.
So if any of you guys are able to, cover a shoebox in, a grocery bag and write, survey, what's important to you about Bristol, and put these, we need 2 shoeboxes with brown paper bags with a little inviting marker note saying, fill out the survey, and just pop them at the library and the thing. I'm like the anti-craft, so I cannot volunteer to do that. But I'm happy to drop them
I don't
off.
think I have any shoe boxes, but I can wrap them if somebody gives it to me. I was like, what does our recycling look like right now?
I don't think I have a
Okay.
shoebox, but I'm sure I've got some kind of a box if I haven't recycled them already.
Yeah,
I'll look at my
a lot of
box collection on the back
pretty
porch.
large.
I'll look at my box collection and report out.
Okay, if the deadline is 2 weeks, we should get this to the library like,
Yes.
tomorrow or Friday.
Okay.
So,
I
I will-
I can't do that tomorrow or Friday. I'm totally slammed with work right now. But I could do something for Monday. Like once the weekend comes, I can breathe a little bit, but I'm pretty slammed right now.
Yeah, I don't know that I could have the time to do anything tomorrow, but Friday I have some time. So if I don't get to something, Krista, I'll let you know.
all right, and
Okay,
I'll wait to
that's
hear from
perfect.
somebody when they say, we have the boxes, then I will either give you the forms, or you can come get the forms, or I can liaison with you at the library in the town hall and put a stack of forms there.
Beautiful.
Okay.
And then if
Okay,
you guys
so
just set in your note on your calendar that when Alex tells
Yeah,
you the deadline to
exactly.
go pull them.
yeah, and I can do that.
Okay.
So today's the 26th. So 2 weeks from today is the 9th. So I can go grab them on the 9th. I guess maybe I'll double check with Alex that that's, well, they're gonna have their deadline and then they're gonna have time I'm wondering what his data analysis window is, I guess. So, like, when does he need anything else from us? So I'm gonna put a note on my calendar to pick up the surveys on the 9th, but I'll also reach out to him to make sure that works.
Chris, how is
Yeah.
CV putting out their survey on Front Porch Forum?
Yeah, so they're doing a lot of different things, and that includes Front Porch Forum, emails, flyers around town. They have a huge mailing list of folks that have received services in the past. So I think that's a big part of where they direct a lot of their push. Stephanie's email says the only bulk advertising we did was through emails and language and flyers that go around in their programs and offices. They already had, as of 5 days ago, 400 responses. Yeah, so they seem to have some survey magic. How to get the word out.
Oops. I'll be right back. I gotta let my dog in.
Okay.
Don't say anything interesting.
Try not to as a rule.
I wanted to just, was gonna write a message to interrupt, but since she's letting her dog out, I need to deal with my kids. So
Yeah.
I'm like a different dog at the door.
This
but it
one
was-
talks.
I know. But it was absolutely lovely to chat with you all.
You too,
I
Rachel. Thanks
will
for
reach
coming.
out to you, Porter, just send you an email, kind of like any thoughts from our committee. We typically meet twice a month. Our next meeting, I think, is April. It's usually the second Tuesday, and it's usually the second and fourth Tuesday of the month. So if you guys are, I can certainly just share with you our agenda. If any of you are able to hop on, feel free. But I'm hoping that we can connect and sort of work together.
Sounds great. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay.
Earl, you
Anything
did
else? Answer?
so much while you were away.
Yeah,
Everything happened when the dog had to
all
come.
the things.
Of course.
Anything else on surveys that we need to talk about? Okay. Okay. Next up on new business is open seats and new members. And I was really excited at first, not that I didn't love meeting Rachel, but I was hoping she might be one of the 2 people that I invited twice to come to our meeting tonight, because after I put out the posting that we had an opening, 2 people reached out right away, expressed interest. I got back to them right away. And then I got back to them again, just a few days ago to say, our meeting's coming up. We hope you're there. So anyway, that's where that is. So we're still seeking some folks, and
Did they
looks
say
like
they
we're not-
weren't interested, or they just,
I got no reply to either message.
okay, so they expressed interest, you gave them some info and invited them, and then nothing.
And then nothing. And then I reached out again. Hope you're still interested. Here's some info. So yeah. So I did just see that and sorry, I'm looking, it's very hard to
It's
figure
okay.
out where to look.
Yeah. Don't worry
You know
about
how
it.
that goes. It's like my side profile. Hopefully
Yeah.
it's not the one with the big
There you go.
sunspot. What was I gonna say? Oh, that it looks like the zoning folks, somebody else is, everybody's looking for folks. So, but it might not be a bad idea for us to put we will need to put out another plug about needing another member. So maybe we do that also in the next couple weeks. I don't know if anyone wants to take that one.
I would say again that maybe just all 3 of you just put a little thing out saying like what you're enjoying about being on this group, and that, looking for additional members going into the spring, reach out to me, me like you, whoever posts, and you can put your next meeting date in. Again, I think 3 different voices, slightly different tone, somebody who might see it and be like, oh yeah, I was gonna do that.
We can use
Yeah.
that same sort of system that we created before if we want to do that, if that works for you, Brian.
Sounds great.
Sure.
Great.
I'm trying to recruit around the apartment complex here. Got a couple people tepidly interested, but then time passes. Oh yeah, and then the next time I see him, oh yeah.
You know,
Well, I just want
You-
to,
in advertising, they say 6 to 8 to motivate, so maybe they have to get asked 6 to 8 times.
No,
Oh my
Right.
gosh.
sure, okay.
so I just wanted to reiterate that I had sent a note a while back saying, you know, my attendance has been spotty, my work has been taking me away some, and I'm not always able to jump on. So I'm more than willing to attend as I can, and I try to give you guys as much notice as I can. But if you'd prefer, if we do have interest and there's someone else, I understand if you'd rather have someone that can be more regular. So however you want to handle me, I guess.
Well, slap on the wrist, the stern look, and then all's forgiven.
Okay.
I sort of feel like you can never have too many folks. And everybody's got stuff at different times. So yeah, I mean, I think we do what we can with the capacity we have. Well,
Well, I just didn't want to be a bad member, you know?
I appreciate that. Appreciate that.
But especially now when with Inica not being available and no alternate,
Yeah.
thank you so much for just staying on and coming when you
Yeah.
can so that there's a quorum and can move ahead. So that's really great.
Okay.
The other thing I was thinking about was having a select board member present, and I can't remember if that was something we was like a hope and dream, and if folks were available, they would come when they could, or no, we don't need a select board member. Jess
It
was
was
just interested. It was someone from the town representing. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay. Right. And we don't really have that. I mean, Amy came to our 2 meetings ago, which was amazing, the community resource person.
Actually, that was just the
or
last meeting, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was
Last
the
meeting,
last
yeah,
meeting.
right.
I wonder if it's worth a follow-up to her just to say, hey, we enjoyed having you. Would you consider? It sounded like she felt like she was maxed out with meetings, but it wouldn't hurt to ask.
Yeah,
And I think that the zoning administrator had expressed that they had some shared interest in some of the survey
yes,
questions that you
right.
have, and it might be worth making a personal invitation to them and just saying like, hey, AZ, we'd love to have you we need a town member. Would you come? And see if they would be willing to put it on. I mean, they already have a couple meetings each week, but it's worth asking.
Yep. I can reach out to Amy. I don't know if anybody else knows AZ and wants to ask him.
I think it's better coming from one of you guys, so I would leave it to you. You could literally just send the similar type email that you're sending to Amy and just send it again. And you can say, I know you and Porter talked about some of the equity committee stuff, and it sounded like you had some shared interest with what we're doing. Would you consider being our town liaison and coming to one of our meetings to learn more about us or something?
Trying to remember what Amy's last name was because I cannot find her email.
Oh, I have it right here.
You do? Is her email?
It's CR
Is it
specialist.
Amy
Well,
L-
she
Is it
uses,
Amy L. Smith
but
2021?
no, she uses CR specialist at bristolbt.org.
Thank you. There it is. Okay. All right. I like to just get it in my queue. Otherwise I will not remember to do that.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So, sure. So I can just send the same note to AZ as well, and we'll see.
Thanks, Krista.
Yeah. Okay. So we have new business that Jim brought up a couple of things, and then we had 2 other items. How do you all want to make our way through that?
I don't have a preference one way or the other.
No preference here.
We just go through our
Okay.
list.
Sure. So I will just say that I put the Know Your Rights cards on and really in the spirit of thinking about information swapping and a conversation to have. And we don't really have a formal process for adding things to the agenda, and I made the agenda, and so I was like, I'm gonna just put this on there. So I'm not attached to it in any way, shape, or form, except that it seems like a lot of organizations are trying to ensure that that is a resource available. So we can talk about that as a resource and talk about Jim's concerns at the same time. I don't know what folks think, but my, I guess my initial reasoning for putting it on is in the spirit of making people feel welcome and safe in our community, and recognizing that we have a very large, or not, maybe not very large, but we have a migrant farm worker population, and those folks may be feeling not safe. I also added that on there without knowing what organizations might already be providing that information to folks. So it might not be our role, but that's why it's there. So, yeah, so that's my piece about that. And I don't know a ton about it, except that, oh, and my daughter had gone to a workshop where it was a Know Your Rights workshop, and on her college campus, and they shared the card. So that made me think about it also. And I think from the link, you have the option. It sounds like they're having a big run on those cards. And so you would have to print them out yourself. And because you can't order them from the organization right now, they're out.
I'll just say, if this committee felt like that was something you wanted to do, that would be something you could use that community foundation money for.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing you could do if you felt like it.
Yeah, I had that thought that if we needed to print them and we needed resources for that, that we had some money in our budget to do that. So that is my thought about the cards, and maybe we can hear from, I'd love to hear Darla and Brian and Porter's thoughts on it. We know how Jim feels about it, but you can add to that as well too, Jim.
Sure.
Darla, you want to go first?
Sure. I've seen this resource has been shared many times in meetings that I've been in, from childcare. They're available at childcares. They were available at the Early Childhood Day at the legislature. The Agency of Human Services is handing them out. I've seen them at libraries. I've seen them at grocery stores. My hairdresser has them on the counter at his store. It is not, I don't see it as, the reason I disagreed, Jim, was just to say that I don't see it as particularly political. The mission of this organization is the mission of the Immigrant Legal Resource Center, I'm reading it from their website, is to work with and educate immigrants, community organizations, and the legal sector to continue to build democratic society that values diversity and the rights of all people. So you had mentioned, for information for illegals. It's not truly information for illegals. It's information for anyone. So it really is just information. I have actually shared these at some of the meetings that I hold after it was shared at other meetings. So I myself do not have a problem in sharing these, and I don't see it as particularly political.
Brian?
That's problem I have being, central, fairly centrist. I can see where Jim's coming from. I would say maybe we should, if we move forward with these cards, before we do, maybe just get a temperature check from the select board, since technically they are, we report to them, we advise them. So rather than just run whole hog with it, just say, hey, we were thinking about this. What do you guys think? Giving them a chance to, say, yeah, go for it. We're good. Because it'd be nice to have their backing if somebody were to complain.
I think, Brian, that's a great point, because it is an advisory committee. I wouldn't say, hey, what do you think? Because that invites them to have to think, and that's part of why they have advisory committees. No, I mean, I don't mean that badly. I just mean, like, honestly, like, if everybody came to them and saying, like, here's 10 options, what do you want? They'd be like, oh, they have a lot to do. I mean, I feel like if you guys think this is important, then you say to them, we'd like to do this and we'd like to use that money. And if they do feel uncomfortable about it, they absolutely will, and have the wherewithal to say, like, no, man, I don't like that. That's fine. But I wouldn't, I think that it's unfair to ask them to have to decide things
that's
like
fair.
this.
I
So
figured
you make
somebody
a
probably-
recommendation, they accept or they deny, that's totally fine.
I'm gonna say, I figured probably somebody would be able to, who's a little more passionate about it, be able to better word it than I would. I'm just thinking, just, hey, well, before we do anything, maybe we should
Yeah,
give
I
that
think it's
one,
perfect.
one chance in case they want to offer out.
Yeah.
And we don't have Trevor here, who's he's our only other official committee member. So do folks want to make a recommendation to the select board that we do this? Do we want to check in with Trevor somehow, or wait till the next meeting? How do you want to proceed?
I think either checking in with Trevor to get his input or waiting till the next meeting if he's able to be at that meeting to get his input would be important, considering we're a small committee. And I think
Mhm.
I think if we're going to make a recommendation, it should be agreed amongst all of us. That's what we're going to do.
Fair enough.
What do you think about that, Brad?
Works for me. And then and at the same time, we can also kind of spitball ideas. Do we have an idea of where we want to post these, or how about, what the process is for distributing the cards?
That's a good question. Yeah, Darla, so do you, it sounds like you have the most recent experience with how these have been distributed. Do you have any thoughts?
What I've done in the meetings that I've been in is shared the website so that people can, if they're interested, they can print them themselves. I haven't
Gotcha.
been putting them in any particular place myself.
Mhm.
Like I said, I have seen them in grocery stores. I've seen them in libraries, public places mostly, or my hairdresser. Those are the places that I have seen them.
Yeah,
As far as and perhaps it's not, maybe we don't distribute them as much as, again, maybe it's a front porch forum, situation where we can share the link, and if people are interested in having them, we could, put them out that way. I'm spitballing here.
yeah, that's great. Right, because I guess we could let folks know that this is a resource and here's how to access that resource. Or we could, let folks know this is a resource they can access on their own and also have some available somewhere.
Shouldn't we check in with the select board first?
Yeah, I
Yes.
think that's our plan
yeah.
either way. Yeah. And so I think what I like about talking through what it would look like is that when we go to the select board, we could say, as a committee, we are making this recommendation and this is what we think would work for how we would share that.
And just bear in mind, guys, I'm just trying to give you some insight, okay? I'm here to hurt you, I'm here to help you.
Mhm.
The immigration system is a mess, we know that. It's illegal to be here illegally. It's against the law. This situation here, you put yourselves in a situation where now you're telling people it's okay if you're illegal. Don't get
No,
involved.
Jim, this is not about being illegal. A red card just tells you what your rights are if you're a citizen.
Okay.
This is not about being illegal, Jim.
Okay, we're not supposed to go back one-on-one. I'll deal with the facilitator at the time.
Okay.
Someone that's here legally is not gonna be interested in this at all. They have no reason to be. Okay?
Well, I mean, not to put, sorry, argument, and I tend to lean more on the conservative side of things anyway, but I can see the concerns from those who are here legally, or whether it's, through a visa, or, they're in the process, being concerned, because it seems like there's mass media just loves to, scare everybody, and there's a lot of misinformation in terms of that every immigrant, whether they've been here, 2 days or 20 years, is being kicked out. So I could see an argument that, if people just know their rights, but even if they are, especially if they are here legally, that you have rights that you aren't going to be just picked up and, well, shouldn't be just picked up and kicked out on a whim.
In my concerns, I just don't think that the committee should be involved in something like this.
Fair enough.
Put, you know, and put the town in jeopardy for any kind of a liability, yourselves, let the national organizations such as that organization do their thing. But on a local basis, I don't think you guys should do it.
So, yeah, and it's an interesting time because, you know, it sort of relates to your earlier, the first thing you talked, or maybe it was the second thing you talked about, which was to adapt the scope to be more of a welcome committee. And I think, you know, I know the organization I work for, the Vermont Family Network, you know, you mentioned concerns about grants and putting the town at risk. And so we apply for different grants at different times. And I think that probably is how it works with the town as well. And you get an RFP for that grant and you're told very specifically how to prepare and write that grant. And there are organizations that are scrubbing certain things from their grant proposal in order to receive their funding. But I think that we can't anticipate. This is really for the select board to weigh in on, is what are the concerns about specific grants as opposed to funding writ large? Because if you say red cards is not a good idea, some of the grant requirements right now, words like women are being asked to be scrubbed, words like disability, words like empower. So like with our organization, we recently sent off a grant and our director went through and removed everything that had the word equity in it, right, to be approved for this grant. So I guess what I'm trying to say is red cards might feel like a really clear line in the sand, but if you start worrying about any aspect of this committee, our whole idea of trying to make everyone feel welcome would be moot. And so I think that's sort of what my concern is with the word political, because right now it feels like everything is up for grabs and it's really hard to anticipate what's going to get pushed back and what's not. So it's hard to make decisions. I'm sure every organization is trying to make decisions based on how they are going to operate with this concern.
Probably a good resource would be our grants administrator, Frida. She'd be up on all of this.
Yep, I mean, I think
You know,
that's
go on
right.
what she would say. She may say it's a great idea.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
Yeah. It makes me think that, was it Rachel who was just here? You know, be curious to know how they're navigating this conversation.
Well, a question I'm thinking of, it comes to mind. And this goes back to the actual grant that, helped found us. Is there a particular naming convention that we must stick to? Or we end up forfeiting some of those funds?
No.
I mean, you think that?
I
money
mean,
we
I'm
already
just,
have?
just trying to, some things.
No,
are
I
very
think it's a
stickler and
great
some things are-
question.
No, good
I think it's a
question,
great
Brian.
question. I think Porter can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think because we have the money, it's different than if we were applying for new money.
Well, so here's what I'll say is that money was given to the town as part of an application which the select board approved. So the select board approved that money would be spent in a certain way. So if the committee doesn't want to spend the money at all, or doesn't want to spend the money as per the grant application, then the select board would need to have a conversation with the community foundation about giving the money back. But as long as this committee is intending to spend that money in accordance with the grant application, and even if it doesn't have to be exact, but in the vein of that, it would be fine. But nowhere there did it say you have to be called a certain thing. So
Just,
I
know
don't
something-
think that the community foundation cares what this committee calls itself. And I think that the committee should decide that, and you can base it on, the current political wins, or you can base it on what you learned from the community, on what matters to them. And maybe then when you look at core values, that will help you decide what you what you want this committee to be. But I wouldn't worry about that name. And I also feel like Tabitha very explicitly several meetings ago went to great lengths to reassure you that in her experience as an equity consultant, but also in her current studies in getting her master's in law in law, that you're not doing anything that's illegal or problematic. So I'm sure that if Frida thinks that this committee is jeopardizing the town's ability to get or keep funds, she will be the first to let you know. You're welcome to ask her that, but it doesn't sound like that's currently an issue. But you can call yourselves whatever you want. That's fine. I think, being a friendly town is a lovely thing. Well, welcome team, friendly team. If you are the welcome team, then I really hope that you do the welcome packets. Anyway, I digress.
Well, we can bring him to
Oh,
a
keep the
meeting and
name
we'll have a
as is,
little like
Lorraine.
round robin.
You just said something, Porter, though, that I think was helpful for me. And, I struggle with, I see a need, I want to act right away. And when you said, well, you're doing this survey and you're going to hear from the community what they want, it made me think that we might consider pausing on the red cards and get our survey results and figure out what we want to focus on. I love the idea of letting people know what about their rights. I'm concerned about people's rights. I think that's really important. But that's me saying we should do this thing in a reactionary way, which can be helpful and great. And that's a lot of what I do, but also maybe we need to remember that why we're doing the survey is to really hear from other people. So we're a small group. We could ask the select board, they will have their perspective, but they're also a small group. So our hope was to really hear more from folks and let that help guide what we do. So I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there.
No, I think that's a good point, Krista.
The other thing I would add to that is that one of the things this committee said that they wanted to do early on was share resources with each other, as everybody on this committee is at different places in their learning and growth. And to the extent that you've done that, there's nothing stopping any individual from printing up cards and asking their own hairdresser to carry them, or putting them, asking the bus driver. If anybody on this group is motivated to go print some cards, they could do that and pass them out. There's nothing against that.
Yep.
You can do that.
So what do you think, Brian? Should we just pause on that piece?
Yeah, I'd pause on that piece. I'm trying to figure it out because I wish I had more time to, or twins or could clone myself. I figured if there was
Let
some
me know
way
if you
to
figure that out, because
the partner,
I want to know how to do that too.
the partner, to maybe to partner with somebody that, get them to go ahead and advertise in Bristol for us without us actually having to do it, so that we,
Well, and I think your point.
somebody that's basically, signal boost somebody that's already doing it without,
Yeah, I did wonder, like, when I was thinking about it in general, what's migrant justice doing right now? That was what immediately came to mind when I was thinking about it, was our migrant community. But anyway, there may be other folks that we can lift up that are doing this. Yeah. Okay. Did we cover the other concern? I think we did. I think we got both things in that conversation. Anything else on those?
Yeah, I think the plan is, we'll check with Trevor on his thoughts. We can still ask him before, that's just a quick email, but but in between meetings, as far as his thoughts on that, whether or not to go ahead with the cards, we can kind of make a decision. See where the information's flowing into us, and next meeting we can, put it on the agenda as a discussion item. Yeah, that seems fair. No need to take any immediate action, but be thinking about it.
Mhm.
Porter's got a smile on her face. She's up to something.
She's doing the Wordle. No.
I'm not doing the Wordle.
Doing some Mad Libs over there.
No.
All right, the next thing is information swap. Does anybody have anything else that they want to share that they think people would be interested in knowing about?
I can't remember if I shared with you guys before or not, and Krista, you would probably remember if I did, because it's from Creative Discourse. But they shared an equitable meeting resource, and it's just a way to think about when we hold meetings.
Mm,
You've probably seen that piece before, Krista. Um, in advance of the meeting or the event, participants have been asked what accommodations they might need. Talking about the what, why, when, where of the meeting or the event. But some of the things that I took away from this was the accessibility piece. Like when you're holding a meeting, is the space truly accessible, or is you've experienced this is the elevator on the back side of the building and you have to navigate your way through to get to a meeting room. Something that people would need to know. Do you need it's just a simple checklist, and I'm happy to put I'll share the link in here. It's just things to think about when we're holding meetings.
yep.
It's just a good it made me think about some of my meetings in a different way and how I
Yeah.
hold them. Talking about things like making connections, like always doing always doing introductions, maybe having a story share or asking a question at the introduction time. Having that that type of an introduction piece, and just making sure that people have good information about who, what, where, and when, all of that. So I'll share the link for that with folks.
Well, can you put it in our notes?
I will.
Awesome. Any highlights from the 15 different committees you're on, Brian?
Oh, my brain is mush. I've been in meetings all day.
Have you really?
So
Oh,
my back's
yeah.
killing me, and that was why I can't make it in tonight. I'm like, oh, they'll have to forgive me. I mean, if you're looking for some bright spots and whatnot,
Yeah, sure. Please.
every committee and whatnot that I work with is dealing with this kind of stuff on multiple levels, not only just from the DEI equity kind of stuff, but also funding because of everything that's going on in Washington and everything that's currently going on in Montpelier in terms of, I mean, if I get more emails, please email this, email or call this, representative or whatnot. I'm like, oh, okay, what do you want me to say? That everybody's scrambling on multiple fronts. A lot of people care, but they're basically they're strategizing on just about every level in terms of, like, I just sat through VSHA today, and thankfully the continuing resolution went through, so funding should be flat, at least for the time being. But they're preparing
What
for
organization is that again? Sorry.
Vermont State Housing Authority.
Oh, okay. Yep.
But they're preparing for potential cuts to come.
Do they manage
Yeah.
Section 8?
They're predominantly the Section 8 folks, but they also they're one of the largest mobile home managers, owners in the state.
Yeah. Yeah.
Housing is right up there with them as well. But everybody's making preparation for lean times coming, and they're also prepping for any potential hard decisions that might have to be made in terms of, like, who do we have to drop if we have to drop any, but still try to meet spread every dollar as as best possible. So it's on the minds of everybody right now.
I thought that was supposed to be the bright spot you were going to share.
The bright spot is
I guess
people
what you're
care.
saying
People
is
are
we're
people
not
are
alone.
but nobody's found that magical. I mean, they're short of for getting some storm chasers to chase rainbows for pots of gold at the end of it, or becoming unicorn wranglers.
Oh, I like that.
I want to be a unicorn wrangler.
Me too.
I have a bright spot, which is that the ode to Bristol on the love notes to Bristol that blew off in the
Did you
wind.
find it?
Somebody got
Yes. Oh, my dog's coming in.
Yay!
The somebody found it in the Shaw's parking lot and turned it in, and so I got an email from Shaw's saying like, we have it at our service desk. And it kind of sounded like they had it there and maybe they didn't know where it came from, but they were like, they kind of liked it. And I'm like, yeah, no, we kind of want that back because I like totally paid for that. My own pocket. I'm like, I don't want to pay another one. Because it's already our second one, because we did lose one in the very first. The first time we put it on, we didn't realize that the tape had to get put on like in certain weather, to hold now my dog's really good. So
yeah.
anyway, but yeah, we got it
So
back.
that sign can be like the rock outside Art on Main, the weather rock. Like maybe the sign is if the sign's there, it's calm. If it's not,
Right. Actually, we're
wet,
pretty
it's
pleased. Like
raining.
when
Yeah.
we first put that up, we didn't know if we'd make it through, even one winter. So this is its second winter, and yeah, anyway. I get a lot of feedback on that wall, so everybody loves the love notes.
I see a lot of people that kind of look like they're not from here, stopping
Right,
and
like
looking.
reading the wall, like, oh, that's so
Yeah.
cute. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool.
cool. Anything else anybody has to share?
Or I'll work on what I determined to be uplifting. For next time, I'll work on that.
Okay,
have
you got a
all
month.
something
You got a
all
month
doom and
to find
gloom.
something good, Brian.
You know.
Right. That's the good news. We'll have to have a good news section.
Yeah. Yeah, and we dropped the icebreakers. You're making me think, Darla, when you were saying about opening. You had some good ones early on, so we'll have to bring that back. All right. Well, I think we all deserve 20 minutes back
Alrighty.
in our evening. Does that sound good?
Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jim.
All right. Thanks all.
Oh, what's
Have
our
a good
next meeting
evening.
date?
Oh,
April- Sorry,
yeah,
before everybody goes.
April 23rd.
23rd.
7
All right.
PM.
I'll pretty up my notes and send them out.
Great. And wait, so Brian, are you going to facilitate?
I think Daryl's was still doing.
Oh,
gonna
you're doing notes
I'll-
and facilitating. Okay, great.
I might ask the Porter to, bring a lawyer in to help me with the notes part next session. So
Gotcha.
depends on how fried my brain is right now. I'm so far behind in school that
Oh,
I have a deadline of May 2nd is the majority of the projects have to be in, and then thankfully my professor's working with me. And then May 5th is the last couple projects, hard deadline. So that last week, you might have to poke me a few times or whatever to, hey, Brian, wake up.
Oh, I didn't realize you were in school also.
Well, actually, Brian, I can take the notes at the April meeting, so you don't have to think about it till after school, because then the May
Yeah.
will be whatever.
Yeah.
And I think I'm leaving town on May 16th, but I'll do the notes and I'll get it to you. And then when school is over, you can pick it up and be ready for the May
Appreciate it.
meeting. Because I'll be out of town for the May meeting unless things change, so.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay.
alrighty.
Okay. All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Take
Thanks,
care, everybody.
everyone. Good night. Good night, Jim.
Bye.
Take care, guys. You need me to